great grandmother. We were hanging out, chilling in the jungle. We had some drums, hanging out, playing jungle music. And then I met her again some several hundred years later. At a friend said, you know, the Queen of the Congo is coming, and I said, he's out of his mind. You know what I'm saying? But I thought he was kidding, but he wasn't. So I met him. I actually met him through a close friend, and he came by. He actually wanted to get a reading, because he had met this woman, and I thought he was kidding when he said that she was a queen. I was like, so I know he's having illusions of grandeur or whatever. And anyway, I'm just being funny right now, but that's how I really met her, you know. And he hooked it up, so I got a chance to spend some time with her. And she's so fantastic. I mean, it's just a fantastic person. She's like, I met another guy. His name is Paulo. He's from Brazil. And he travels around. He does some really dynamic things. He traveled around the States. He's from Brazil. He's part native Brazilian indigenous inhabitants and African and black, you know. And so he's an artist, he's a visual artist. And I'll compare them because of their spirit. It's the spirit they carry. Because this guy is the guy that he doesn't deal with money, but people are constantly bringing him around the world. He's like a guru, and people take care of him. But he was here and he did this trip. He went to everywhere on the Underground Railroad. And he brought a truck of cement watermelons with him. So now you have to really be a deep cat to understand. Here's a guy coming from the Amazon in the forest, and he's talking about. I mean, this guy traveled around and he went to every country in Africa. He walked. It took him years, and he didn't wash his feet. Okay, he said he wanted to get the dust from every country in Africa on his feet before he washed them. Now that's my kind of dude. She's like that. You know what I'm saying? She was here tonight. She's a queen. She has all the money she needs, actually. And she's a priestess. She's a priestess of Obatala. And if you don't know that, you need to just figure it out, find out.
Obatala.
Obatala, yeah, look it up. And don't think about what you've heard about things. You know, you have to find things for yourself, or you're going to miss a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You're going to miss an awful lot. So she's a priestess, and she was speaking in Lingala. And well, you know, she asked, you know, after we played drum and she danced, she took a shower here. Okay, now I'm a guy. Okay, she had someone assisting her, a priestess of Oshun. But, you know, I'm a guy. I don't have anyone living here with me. I'm a bachelor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when a woman comes into a bachelor's house and accepts the shower, that's a big deal.
I love, dude. I know. I mean, I know.
You gotta understand.
I am feeling it, man. I absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes that's a deep thing, and some people whose minds are shallow may not see how deep it really is.
Right now.
Well, that's deep when a woman who's dressed. You saw how she was dressed. She had fine clothes on. She had a crown on her head. She was reeking with royalty. You know what I'm saying? And but at the same time, she was down to earth.
Hey, man.
Yeah, so that's what queens are. That's what I told her. I said, you know why you're a queen? She said, no, Bill, tell me why I'm a queen. I said, because queens don't ask for anything. It's
Right.
And there's some people I can mention some names, but I would mispronounce them, and I may get them wrong.
Oh, well, I mean, throw it out, man.
No, I'm trying to remember right now because there's some people that are very instrumental in having made that happen. And there's one lady I just can't remember the name right now.
All right.
But there are people that well, number one, I've been sick several times. Well, just not feeling myself.
Sure.
And I've had to visit the musicians clinic because I didn't have health care. There was no Obamacare or nothing like that. The musicians. Look, it didn't have a good result. Okay.
Well, I mean, what health issues come from black licorice? I've never heard that in my life.
Well, listen, it's to digest it.
I dig. Okay, digestion.
Yeah, I'm eating good stuff. I'm drinking unfiltered.
I just want to be clear to the audience. I want the audience to understand that this cat that I'm talking to right now played in a trio in this drum the ceremony, and you had surgery today, and you just told me, you said that's not even the real shit, but it was just to me it was
okay.
It was okay.
Yeah, I would have been ashamed for like a person.
How did your students do?
Well, I shouldn't use the word student because I'm not a teacher. I'm a student myself.
Sure. Always learning.
But there's a level. There's different levels of musicianship. And if you look at America or you look at Cuba or any place, there are different types. I've always, when I was a kid and I was playing music, I never thought that I would be playing music on the level that I'm playing it on. And that's because I had so much respect for the people who could play, who could really play. And so there's different degrees of that. If you look at a place like Cuba, there's different levels of musicianship. And the guys that get a chance to go out and represent the country are the ones that excel, like Pedrito Martinez, people like that. You know what I'm saying? He won the Thelonious Monk competition some years ago when he came here as a kid. I met him when he was 15 or 16 in La Habana. So, there are people on different levels, and it's the same with America. Me and Michael Clark, Donald Harrison, and Stanley Clark, we're going to meet up in London in a few days. And
Stanley's on bass?
Stanley has his band at the same.
Wow, it's the same bill?
Yeah, same bill. So,
but I want to be clear. Paul's playing bass.
No, actually, a guy named Jerry Z. We have an organist. Sometimes we use an organist who plays B3.
I dig. You have bass pedals.
Bass pedals, and he has keyboards too. And the thing is, we've used different configurations. The smallest configuration has been 4 people, which is me, Michael Clark, Donald Harrison, and Jerry Z. When we've done it like that, it's been like that. Usually we have at least 5 musicians. That's been our magic number. So we'll have a bass player, like Reggie Washington was the last bass, or Chris Severin from here in New Orleans. Having Paul Jackson is a challenge. Paul is on dialysis. Okay, so that means we have to consider that he has health issues. So we're not young men anymore. We're not 23 or 24. I'm 70 years old. So
you're still kicking ass.
I'm having fun.
You're having a ball, man. Every day Saturday for Bill Summers, man.
That's right. And it's going to continue that way. I'm not going to get old.
Can you talk about the cultural bias that you face on a continual basis in New Orleans?
What do you mean cultural bias? I don't get it.
Okay, so Trump's been in office for
who is that?
A couple years, and you had that 75-year-old cat walk up to you and say what he said to you.
What Trump? Who is that? have a reason to tell the story. We had a reason to talk about that, about how stupid people can be.
And you just lowered the volume a little bit. I want people to. This is an incredibly
This
important.
is not an incredible story. I'm gonna turn it up now. See, he's trying to control things again.
Oh, Jake Feinberg, always a control freak.
Yeah, hey,
Whatever, man. Yeah.
Okay, well,
It's real life.
That was a negative story, to be realistic. Some people would understand it, some people won't. But I'll tell you the story again. I don't mind. It's a hell of a story. It's a hell of a story.
Break it.
It's a hell of a story. It's one that I put in my memoirs, actually. And I haven't put my memoirs out yet because
They're not coming anytime soon, dude.
yeah, they are. Man, I've had enough things happen in the 70 years.
Not if the headhunters take off and you're touring the world all.
I just look. It's time to tell the story. I don't want to be dead when I tell the story.
Right? No, you don't want somebody else telling you a story.
I don't want to do that. No. But this is in a chapter in my book, and the story kind of goes like this. When I was married to my beautiful wife Yvette, who is really a good friend still. She picked a house, you have a wife, you kick back, I got my wife with me, she's looking on St. Charles. I'm saying, no, baby, that ain't gonna happen, because I already know what the battle's gonna be. Very few black people get a house on St. Charles. It's a battle. I know a brother, Terrence Blanchard, had a house on St. Charles, but it's a no-no for blacks. You live on certain streets. You can't live on this street. It's still happening to this day,
Sure.
And so we're living in a society where there's still double standards. It could be people don't respect gay people, or people don't respect you because you wear a mustache, or some other silly shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's if you succumb to those things. So let's get to the story. This story has something to do with that. And my experience here in New Orleans, which I have mixed emotions about it, because if it's Detroit or Chicago, or if it's New Orleans or Florida, this racist stuff is still happening. It hasn't really gone anywhere. It has a different complexion, a new flavor, let's say, at Baskin Robbins, But
32 flavors, 31 flavors.
there's a lot of flavors of it. So anyway, me and Jake were talking earlier about, just things that go on, and how silly it can get sometimes when people will say something dumb to you. So at any rate, my wife, we get in this, she wants a house on the street, and she doesn't want the house because she wants to live next to white people. She likes the house.
Mm-hmm.
This is all it is. Man, I like the house too. Let me tell you what the house would look like. You walk up the stairs, there's palm trees to the right, there's a nice driveway made out of cobblestone. You walk to the back, there's a nice deck, there's bananas growing on the trees. Okay, I'm saying it's looking right. You walk inside, there's a deck going into the den, sunken den. Okay, we step up 4 stairs, go across the den, now a raised den. The kitchen has got all the modern appliances, nice big dining room with a chandelier over it. You walk into the bathroom, there's a hot tub and a sauna. Okay, what's there not to like about that? You know what I'm saying? That's good stuff. So I said, well, let's see how it's going to be to get this house. Immediately we go into this racial thing happens to us, where the owner says, we're having a problem with I'm telling the owner we're having a problem with the mortgage company, and he tells me straight to my face, it's a racial thing. And he helped us. This guy actually helped us by lowering the price of the house, $7,000, so we could get in it. I just paid him back. It was the kind of situation that,
right.
But now let's talk about Hal. Let's jump.
Yeah, that's what I wanted you to get at. Yeah.
Yeah, let's jump a couple of years later. I'm already in the house. A couple of years, that people are finally starting to talk to us.
So it took like 2 years, because at first the vibe was really chilly.
It wasn't good because, number one, I came with jungle drums. Okay, I came with bata, djembes, and here I am. If you know anything about that meant I was lighting it up every now and then in the neighborhood, and they knew there was something going on in that. In fact, one neighbor came to my house and knocked on the door, and we were playing drums, and she said to me to my face, "You're scaring my kids." That's what she said. And so that's deep stuff now. You got to understand that's pretty deep.
Scaring my kids, yeah.
You're scaring my kids by playing those
So a couple years later, you guys are finally...
Well, we settled in. Everybody's talking to us now.
Because you're just regular peeps,
Well,
man.
they found out I had worked with Herbie and I had worked with, Sting and stuff like that. So hey, he's okay. So anyway.
Right. Then
I'm okay.
You're all right, dude.
I'm all right now. So anyway, here's the punchline. So I'm standing outside one day and I have a neighbor. He's about 75 years old at the time. His name is Hal. He lives cattle corner from my house on this street, this white street. You're not a nigga. I said, what? It took me by surprise. I was like, what is he talking about?
He said, you're not a nigger.
He said, you're not a nigga. That's what he said to me. Now, this is going to show you how bad racism is in the country. When somebody could think, he thought he was giving me a compliment. He actually believed in his heart and soul that he was complimenting me. Now, a lot of people in this country, that word, and to a lot of black people, it's a word that they want to forget. I'm not forgetting the word. I'm not going to forget that. And it's used in many ways. I don't have time for that. But that's something that happened to me that we shared earlier today, and you were just like awed or like Bill, can we talk about that on the interview? I don't know. We talked about it, but what does that mean?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is the idea that explain to peeps out there why you don't want to forget the word. People say get over it. You said the Auschwitz. You made the reference to Jews with Auschwitz, but explain that.
Well, I wouldn't ask some Japanese to get over Hiroshima. That's impossible. I didn't drop the look at me. Jake Feinberg, I'm a black man. We did not drop the bomb. Okay? We were getting our ass kicked when that bomb got dropped. In fact, people didn't even want us to fight next to him. Okay? My father couldn't fight next to white men. My grandfather couldn't fight next to a white man. Okay, he was not. You're on such a low level that you're not gonna let me save your life. That's some deep shit there. So look, I'm just different, man. I'm just a different kind of guy. I believe in what's real. I think everybody that's here on the planet, regardless to what they are, that needs their space. It's too small of a place to be fighting over. It's stupid. It's so stupid. Just look up. Just look in the sky at night and see all the stuff that's up there. And what is this? It's just stupid. It's so stupid. It's ridiculous. I don't have time for it. So with Hal, I'm not going to get mad at Hal, but I do know the state of affairs because of people like
How'd you respond to him?
We continued. I told him I was a nigga. But some people can't really understand that shit. It'll be like, well, Bill, I don't like Bill Summers because he used that word. Well, it's in the dictionary. Take it out the dictionary. I'm not going to forget Auschwitz. I'm not going to forget that. I was there. I saw the ovens. I was there, dude. I went to Auschwitz. I went to Hiroshima. I stood on the spot where they dropped the bomb. I saw the damage it did to the people, psychologically and physically. It was horrible. How are you going to forget that? Are we going to forget slavery? No, you were stupid if you forget slavery. You can't forget it because you can't stop it if you don't know about it. You know what I'm saying? That's like from evil came the good, or from the good came the evil. How do you know what's good if there's not if evil didn't exist? You know what I'm saying? How do you know it? You see,
Well, you need to have the contrast.
Yeah, we need to deal with a lot of stuff, but we should be dealing with the music.
Well, no, what I'm trying to get at is the idea of you saying, how does Bill Summers affect positive light in your world?
Music. I love music. I just get up in the morning. I can't wait to get up in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Some people have a job where they trying to get an extra wink. I'm trying to get up early. I'm trying to forget the wink. I want to give God wakes me up, and it's not at 7 or 8 in the morning. It's more like 5:30, 5. I'm up. I'm like, what can I do? I can't call nobody because they get mad at me. My friend Paul Mack Jr. He said, man, why are you calling me up? It is 3 a.m. I said, but it's 5 here. You know, but I'm just like, I mean, I love life. I love music. In fact, the Headhunters are on their way out of town. We're going to start a tour. We leave this Sunday for London.
Wow.
And all over Europe. And we start off with Stanley Clark, his band, and the Headhunters band.
And how many city tours are going to be?
We're doing, I don't know, 13 cities.
Explain how this music, the new Headhunters music, is how you've increased vocabulary from that, what everybody knows is the iconic albums.
You know, one thing about the Headhunters, well, if you listen to the first record, you know, Chameleon, Sly especially, that's one of my favorite tunes that we did, Sly. Excuse me. I had surgery today, so at any rate, it wasn't a big deal. I just had a tooth pulled.
And a procession, a spiritual procession.
Yeah. Any rate,
Jake Feinberg now has.
You know, we have the new CD out, and what I like about it, there was a guy that was hanging out with me for a couple of days. His name is Fode Sissoko, and he's from Senegal, and his people are royalty in terms of the kora, the instrument they call kora. And Fode was here hanging out, and he was playing, and you know, he wanted to record something. And I was saying, man, I don't really have time. I have so much on my plate. And he played a few more lines. I said, man, let's record. So we spent a couple of days recording, and I didn't know why. I really didn't know why. He's singing and he's playing and we're translating the words, and I said, man, and he's playing all of this stuff on this instrument, and it's beautiful stuff. Then we recorded 2 days. I said, man, I'll send you the stuff, you know. Let's figure out something to do with it. Maybe I can play something to it. So then Michael Clark, we have this record that we're trying to finish, and Michael sends me a track. It's called Drumship. That was the name of it at the time. Now it's called Congo Square. And so I put it on. It was just him playing drums, you know. And we had recorded it in France, in Nazaire, France. And so a few years ago, actually. And he said, man, let's make this the first tune on the record. I said, well, Michael, you out of your mind? You want to put a drum solo, you know, as the first tune on the record? It's going to make people think it's a drum record.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, well, to me, I didn't know that. No, but for me, we had to fill
to
fill up some spaces.
Sure.
To me, it was like, he said, Bill, it's in your hands. So I said, oh, that's why Fode came and played all that stuff. So I put Fode as the intro and outro of the tune. And then I listened to what he was playing and created a bass line using an instrument called the umboni. It's that string instrument that's over there against the wall.
My favorite instrument.
Yeah, so it's a bass, it's a bass. So there's a bass line going through, and then Donald Harrison comes over there, and he's playing the same line that Fode was singing, and then Fode stops singing, but Donald keeps going, and he starts playing some avant-garde stuff. Then I had this. Then I was thinking about Ashland Parker, who is he's a fabulous trumpet player. I mean, one of my favorite trumpet players. Christian Scott is another one, but this guy I like the way he plays. You know, we played together. So, and he actually did the album cover. He's a great graphic designer. He's good. He's really good. He's got an artistic eye. So I said, man, what else should put Ashland on here? Because Ashland can play sounds that dogs can't hear. He can get up there. He's a really good player, too. He's really good player.
Dogs can't hear him.
You know, man, this dude is playing notes he's playing some notes.
He's in the intergalactic. Listen, before I let you go, why do people
fall in love?
Why do people come to see? Why do people come to see you?
Should they? I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they come to see me, but I would think people would want to come to see the Headhunters, or to see something that I may be involved in. There are a few people that would come to see me, but I'm not Herbie Hancock. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I'm talking about. Explain to people that are going to watch this when me and you are long gone from this.
You think they're going to watch this?
Yeah, they are.
I think so too.
And explain the lineage
Of
of the
what?
music that you are keeping alive in New Orleans. The reason the
Well,
Queen,
look,
why,
there's
the
a
Queen
lot
of Congo comes to your house
well,
tonight.
you have to ask her that.
Well, of course I will tomorrow, actually. But
you can
but
ask
you
her
know,
tomorrow, yeah.
but what I'm saying is, it's
Listen, the reason she came here is because someone brought her. And but someone that knew me, that is now important to her, said, "You need to meet Bill." That's what happened. I didn't do anything.
well. But explain to people why he said you need to meet Bill.
Well, you'd have to ask them. I don't know that because you know what? I tried. Listen, you only get. This is. I feel like I've been here before. I swear to God, I do not want to come back again. Do you understand?
Wow.
I'm trying to get it right this time. All right. I'm not interested in coming back here again. Okay. So look, I'm really. That's what's got me on this. I'm not a righteous person in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being very selfish here. I don't want to come back anymore. I mean, I want to go to the next level, to the next step, and I just think that there's something else out there. There's something after this, and I just feel like that for some strange reason. There's no pie in the sky, and it ain't exactly like heaven, but what is here never disappears. It's going to go into some other form. Nothing here just disappears. It just changes. You know what I'm saying? So I'm on to that click. I'm trying to figure out who is out there. Who is out there? I was telling a friend, we have a freedom drum we just made here in New Orleans. We created a drum and we called it the Freedom Drum. And it was made from a tree that fell in Congo Square. The wood was carved, the drums were carved out of this tree. A tree that fell in Congo Square. And it sat in Luther Gray's garage for 4 or 5 months. Now, this is a guy that has the Congo Square Preservation Foundation. He just took the tree home. And then one day he told me, "Bill, we're gonna bless all the drums in the city." I said, "Well, how are you gonna bless all the drums in the city?" And he started to say, "Well, man, we want you involved, and maybe we can figure out how to do this." I said, "Well, no, what I'd like to do is I'd like to create a new drum called the Freedom Drum that everybody can play. If you're white, if you're black, if you're lesbian, or if you're gay, I don't care. It needs to be, that's freedom. That's what freedom ain't, freedom is deep. There's a lot of people think they don't know what freedom is. They really don't know, because if you're on a planet and you're gay, I can't deny you. I may not join in on what you do, but I can't say you don't exist.
Exactly.
That's stupid. Okay, now you're going to deal with it. One way or the other, you're going to have to deal with it. Someone in your family, your son, maybe come up one day and say, "Oh, he wants to marry Joe." Who the hell is Joe? You hope it's Jolene, but maybe not. You know what I'm saying? So there's realities people have to face. So we created this drum.
But anybody can play it.
Well, there's a little snafu to it. What we did is we had the drums blessed. Okay, now what I mean by blessed, we took them to the mosque. The minister at the mosque actually physically blessed them and read from the Quran. We went to Rabbi Gabriel Greenberg, one of the most
Rabbinical cast.
This guy. The Lakota, the Dime, and several others the Seminole, and they actually physically came to rural southeast Louisiana on grounds where 2,000 unmarked graves of black prisoners, some people call them slaves, I call them prisoners, were in mass graves, and we blessed the drums on that land. Okay, so now, can anybody touch them? No. You have to go through a little initiation to touch them. They're in the tradition of all sacred items. You just can't go and pick up the Holy Eucharist in a Catholic church. You're forbidden to do it. You're forbidden to just go into the synagogue and defile it. You're forbidden to go in the mosque and do certain things and pick certain. We took these drums to the Hare Krishnas. They Can you touch him? Yes, if you do this. You have to wash your hands in what we call omiero, and it has to be omiero for batala with some other stuff in it, like some okra seeds and some stuff from here that make gumbo and that make things happen here. You know what I'm saying? And once you do that, you have to wash your hands, and then you can put your finger in some palm oil and put it on the center of every drum. And we write down your name and your birthday and the time that you did this, and then we put it in a book. So now we've created sacred items. You want to be right there. There they are. That's several of them.
The Freedom Drums.
Yeah, let me give you one. Let me show you. Stay there. They're right here. Here's one of them right here. Here's the Freedom Drum. Wow. That's one of them. And there's 6 of them. There's 6 of them, and then they're painted. This one was painted, and it's one thing very interesting about the painting on this drum. That's some feathers. Those of you out there understand that. Like you see in these things on the drums. You see these figures on the drums, and if you really look, that's a bird.
Sure.
It looks like a parrot. I'll show you something really interesting. There's that looks like a deer if you really look at it. Now, I had a dream, and in the dream it said, take a white pen and trace everything, trace the, what do you call it, the grain of the drum. Trace the grain, and it's going to tell you a story. This drum right here has some writing on it. I don't know if you can see the writing. Okay. And I can point some of it out to you. This is the Freedom Drum. It was written in Arabic. It was written in Chinese.
Wow.
It was written in Japanese, Portuguese, Swahili, Kikongo, Yoruba, and many other languages. Right now, there are 40 languages on here. I'm taking this drum on the road with me to Europe to have it blessed by, whoever I meet in Europe and signed by different ethnic groups. So this is the Freedom Drum. We're going to carry this on the road with the head on us. So that makes it sacred. Can you play it? Yeah, you can play it.
What does it sound like?
We tuned them up there. Each one
teasing people.
The thing is, each one of them has a different tone quality.
Sure.
And we play them as a set. They have rhythms we play on them. So it's we have to tune them. I'd rather not play them when they're not in tune. You wouldn't want me to play an out-of-tune piano, would you?
Well, McCoy Tyner used to bang them back into tune.
No, I don't want to hear that. That's a poor excuse, man.
Hey,
McCoy wanted to have a good piano. If he had a bad one.
Well, no, but I mean, Joe Sample used to say, "What dog du jour do I have to play tonight?" And they go into these clubs. It was totally unpredictable.
They can't afford to have a piano tuner. I grew up with a piano in my house. I was in the conservatory for 10 years. I had to play the piano every damn day, so I know a lot about a piano. If you can't afford to tune it, then it's going to go out of tune.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so that's why a lot of people had to suffer that, because even today, now you want a tuner to come in and tune your piano in your house, it's going to cost you $300 or more. Who can afford that? Who can afford it?
The technology's become super expensive, but they can't pay the musicians.
Well, if you can get yourself an electric keyboard, then you don't have to really worry about it being out of tune. You can manually tune it with a knob, So, but it is what it is. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We're here. Jake Feinberg, he came and busted into my house today with a suitcase. He came off the street. Okay, I just want to tell
off
you,
the street,
I just want to
in the coffee shop. No, man. Listen, I want to thank you for letting me experience that ceremony. It was one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had in my life.
You just happened to come here at the time where it was going on.
But I'm thanking you, man.
Yeah, well, I don't want no thanks. Watch all you people out there. Watch Jake. Watch him.
Love you, man. Have a great tour. Bill
Hey,
Summers.
man, no, man, look. Babatunde Leah. Hey, man, I love you, man. And Tobaji and all you guys over there on the West Coast.
Dig.
John Santos.
John Santos,
y'all,
man.
Oh, man. Sandy. All of the bad ass. Butch Haynes. Oh, my God. Butch Haynes. James Levi. Jazzbo. Ray Obiedo. The Escovedo. Sheila. Pete. Juanito. They're all over the planet now, though. No telling where they are. That was the Bay Area, you know. Herbie, all of that. All of those great people.
We got a lot more to do. Bill Summers, much love, man. Have a great tour, man.
I can't wait to get out there. I had a good thing. My son is the road manager, and he manages the band.
Sure.
It's a blessing. So he's on the road with us. So I get to hang out with my son, and we just go from town to town.